and welcome to another GMBN Racing news show, everybody, with myself, Rich Payne, and I'm joined by our resident Mr. Olympics, Ollie Beckinsale. We're here at the UCI Mountain Bike World Series Festival in the Haute Savoie region of France, and it has been an insane weekend of racing, cross-country and downhill. I don't even know where to begin, Ollie.
No, I mean, Leger in general, Worlds last year, Worlds 2004, 96 it started as a venue. This place is nuts for DH and cross-country. It's a bit of a mecca.
It's been unreal, right? And, I mean, let's just say French domination is not even an understatement, right?
Yeah, I think it was when you've got a home race, it was like, you know, the Brits, PT, you know, at Fort William. Everyone ups their game.
Yeah.
You know, you gain a few percent with the home stuff, but then the pressure comes with it. But the French this weekend, smashed it.
Before we get into the results, I don't know if there's sort of French pride, there's something about just riding here, the type of track that they're used to, hometown sort of advantage, local knowledge, maybe?
Think it was like the Brits at Glentress at the Worlds, is you get extra time on the course.
Yeah.
So you can pop over here, you can get on the circuit, and I think that's a big part of it. It's just, when you look at your calendar for the year, that's the one that's underlined as the kind of, right, that's my A, not just an A race, but like the A+.
That's the one to go for. Did you ever find that when you were racing, mate?
100%. Fort William, Dolby Forest, when we had World Cups there, that was always the one where it's like, I've got to get this, like, bing.
Right, well, let's dive into some of the racing and kick things off with cross-country short track. Racing kicked off on Friday then, Ollie, with cross-country short track, and the track, I would say, you know, from having seen it, not the most technical.
No, they generally leave it, they leave it pretty open. They want the racing to be close, you know, and there's a few rock gardens at the back end. That's the key bit, is the entry into if it's a sprint finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was electric.
It was all about the grass. It was all about the power, maintaining speed through the turns, a lot of switchbacks. On to the women's then, mate.
Yeah, it's classic. We saw Peterson going out fast. Evie Richards, Keller, they were the three kind of protagonists. On the last corner on the gravel, there was a big coming together. Lecomte came out, she got a gap, but then she completely blew her doors, got swamped. But then on the line, it was Peterson, Evie Richards, really good, solid. You know, she's great in the short track, super powerful.
Yeah.
And then Keller, who's the overall leader at the moment, taking third place.
And I think that's jumped Puck into the overall.
Jumped in the leaders, there's a chunky amount for the overall points. There's 150 for the cross-country, but it's 80 for the short track. So for the overall, it's a really important race. And also it decides their gridding. Where you finish on the short track is your gridding for the XC.
Right, yeah.
So Mona Vittelnala she's not a short track favourite, but she got 5th, I think, in the short track.
Loana was 5th.
6th.
Yes.
So therefore, she's on the front row for the XCC.
Which we'll come to, because that paid dividends in the end. Into the men's.
Yeah. Schwartz Power,
as we call him here on GMBN Racing.
But he didn't have it all his way.
He didn't, no. He was sort of dominant. He was doing his thing, like, kind of governing the race a lot throughout.
Yeah. So they go hard, and then they chill. They get a bit of recovery, and we've seen that at the Worlds. And that alternation, he sits at the front, kind of bosses it a little bit.
He does, yeah.
But the last lap got swamped by the French.
And the French swamped him. But, I mean, sticking with Schwartz Power, you know, he was actually dropped back to 4th, but then made that move. After, you know, that move that, Pidcock made on him last time, should we say. Maybe he sort of learnt the odd lesson.
Took out Litcher.
Yeah, he did. Thomas Litcher put a move in on him for 3rd place. Yeah. Jordan Saru
came through. It was close.
Yeah.
Really close.
Strong
and it was kind of like, I was thinking for the weekend, the French played their cards, that they were in good form and strong. But it was Koretsky.
Beast.
For the win.
Beast mode.
So close at the Worlds. Got done by Gaze on the line. But for this one, got the first win of the weekend for the French. Yes,
and you could see on the last lap that he was testing and pushing, and then he
had the legs.
Yeah, he did. Big time.
But yeah, Koretsky from Saru. Yeah, 2 French, 1-2. Yeah. Wicked start to the weekend.
I know. Schwartzbauer still leading the overall though.
Yeah.
You know, 3rd place. Guy's looking super duper strong.
Yeah, in the short track he is. He got beaten tonight, but he's the boy.
He's the man to watch out for every time. Right, on to the downhill, and you've probably not been to a World Cup downhill in quite some time.
Oh my God.
You watched it up in the woods there, right? It's crazy scenes.
Oh my God, the French fans again, absolutely bonkers. And they start off, they get the chairlift up in the morning, and they work their way down, walking, and they start off with a 24-pack of Kronenberg.
Yes.
And they keep going down till it's done. Middle of the woods, obviously we've got the chainsaws, the horns, 2-stroke. Yeah, it's just, it was an
wild,
insane
right?
experience.
It was. I'm glad you got to experience that because I was down towards the bottom, but the racing again was absolutely flat out. Let's kick downhill off with the juniors. Valentina Roa Sanchez for Transition Factory Racing. It took a well-deserved win, incredible result for her there. And Ryan Pinkerton coming back and smashing it by 4 seconds in the junior men's. Great results all round, but what about the elites? I had a bit of a pick for this race, and I'm feeling pretty good because it came off. Maureen Cabrew took the win for Scott Factory Racing. 4 seconds over Monica Krasnick in second place for the Dorval AM team. And then, of course, rounding out the podium was Nina Hoffman for the Santa Cruz Syndicate.
Yeah.
First impressions of watching her downhill after a long time, apart from the crazy fans.
Speed's gone up. The technicality's gone up. I mean, the last time I came to World Cup was 12 years ago, so I'm behind the times. But yeah, I mean, it was super impressive. Yeah. The French fans, bonkers. And they're like, and as you come up to the men's elite, the tension builds. And like say, qualified fastest, it was all on. Yeah, game on. Well done, Maureen Cabrew, taking a well-deserved win after, I would say, a couple of rocky years on the bike, finally sort of getting up there, taking that top step. Actually, a notable mention as well, Millie Johnset with a really good ride. After a few sort of results fluctuating here and there, she was real strong into 4th place as well. Right then, Ollie, on to the downhill men's. Now, this racing was crazier than my shorts because honestly... Takes some doing.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we're missing a few big names. Charlie Hatton's out, Thibaut Toprela's out, Anne-Marie Piron's out. So, some
Greenland,
proper...
sick.
Greenland, yeah. Semis, but sat out finals. Yeah. So we're missing some big guns in there, but we were not short of action all the way through, right? Yeah, it was insane. So let's kick things off. Rider after rider was coming down. Bruni lit the afterburners, and he was knocking on the door of that sub 320, but not quite there. No, the fans for him, they've got the masks. Yeah. They're all with the masks. I know, it's crazy, right? Yeah, and you can hear like a Mexican wave of sound coming down the hill. He beat the semis time, and you're thinking, yeah, he's done it. He was cool. On fire. But then we had, Jackson Goldstein come down. We had Kolb, both of those riders coming down sub 3 minute 20. Kolb came down, took the hot seat. Goldstone followed suit and was like, red. Oh my God, like getting even closer. Close. And you're like, oh, he's just been pipped. So he then, Goldstone went into second place. Yeah. And then we had, who did we have? Loris Vergier come down. Yeah. Pipped Goldstone, went into third place, but the man, I think, who deserved it the most and who we've been waiting to take a win. He was fastest in qualifying, fastest in semis, Benoit Coulange of that AM Dorval Commencal team. Came down. The scenes at the end were unbelievable. Pitch invasion, right? It was a full pitch, and you couldn't write it. Fastest in semis, fastest in final, little bit off the pace. Then he comes back through, grabs it at the end, crowd go mad. Right. Like mad. And then some. It was electrifying to see. I actually watched an interview with him and he's like, I was just working on being a top 80 guy, literally just trying to qualify, then a top 60, then a top 10. He's like, the last 2 years, I felt like I had a win in me. Yeah, and I've just been going for it. French team, French race. But not even a factory team. That's a satellite team of Commencal and that. So it's incredible. Honestly, it's like emotional scenes watching him come across the line. And the conditions that those guys and girls were riding in towards the end, the track was blown out really rough. It's been dry all week, super dusty, big old ruts. It was mental. Yes, huge congratulations to Benoit Coulange for getting his first victory. I reckon he's got more in the tank as well. And it's actually made the overall hot up loads because there was quite a few riders in between Loic and Finn Isles, spacing them out a little bit in the overall. Loic still hanging on to the overall though. Ollie, on to then cross-country Olympic. Wow. Let's quickly touch on the course. I actually rode it. It's very difficult, I'll be honest. It's about a 3K course with a couple of real punchy climbs proper kicks them. It's intense, right? Oh my days. I don't know how they do it for race pace for that long, but, a lot of grass, much like the short track. Yeah. But we've got some really technical sections in the woods now as well. Yeah, so almost like trialsy stuff. Yeah. And you come into them at the top of the climb. So you're like on full gas, lactate coming out of your ears. And then then you have to do the hops and the rolls around. Yeah. And it's like riding it once is not bad, but riding it 8 times, 30 degrees, breathing hard. And that's the thing, right? So check this out. I went trackside earlier where we watched some of the racers come through and have a little look at this. Deteriorating conditions throughout the day have made it incredibly tough for riders to make it around the track. A great example is here in one of the wooded sections. Look at this powder. I mean, it's literally raining brown power, and because of that, riders are finding it really tough, and actually you can see front end sort of blowing out and pushing through some of that dust. There you go then, you can definitely tell the grass was kind of the respites in between the really technical bits as we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, it's super tough. And little bits, it's this like flat turns on these big berms here, and it's sometimes the easy bits that can catch people out.
Especially when you're gassed, right?
Yeah.
Right, and we had a little switch up in things. We had under 23 men's kick us off this time round, didn't we?
Yeah, and the strength and depth for those guys this year, mental. 4 different winners so far this season, but it was, again, French domination. Adrien
How are they doing it?
He second winner of the year. He just took it on from the gun. Riley Amos went with him, but the morning dew, of all things, who would have thought the morning dew would have been the technical aspect? There's a bridge we can just see in the background of us that hadn't caught the sun at 9 a.m.
Oh, yes.
He came round and completely folded on it.
Big
First
scrub.
slap, massive down. He went down. Boishy was then on his own and he held him off. Riley Amos recovered, got back to second, but that was it. It was done.
But to Riley's part, he got up, recovered, and he followed up a strong win.
Yeah, winning in 2 weeks last week in Paris-Roubaix with Andorra. But yeah, it was Boishy, French, overall leader, and won the race.
Another Frenchie taking another win then.
I know. And it was the first of 4 races. Yeah. I was pretty done after that one.
Yeah, right. So then on to under 23 women's.
Yeah, similar thing. There was Sophia Pedersen, who's won 4 races already this year. She looked like she had it sewn up halfway through the season. Her form's dropped. Bad last World Cup. She was under a lot of pressure to keep the overall. Samara Maxwell, world champion, came in, was smashing the climbs. It was a real nice battle. This course is almost like 2 parts. You've got the hard hills and then the techie descent, super loose.
Yeah.
Blockinger from Switzerland was coming back on the descents. They were going backwards and forwards, but it was Samara Maxwell, won her first World Cup to back up the Worlds, smashed it.
Yeah, it was great to see. In fact, a few things I noticed in both the under 23 men's and women's is that some of the riders you could see them physically struggling on the course, especially technically wise. I don't see some of the under 23 women. There was one girl, I can't remember her name, but she had a dreadful, scary-looking crash. It just goes to show just how tough that these courses are, right?
Yeah, and these sections today, it's tough, full stop. Never mind tough when you're literally trying and you're at the maximum, you're getting fatigued, and then that level goes up through the roof.
OK, that's the under 23s done, and it was amazing racing, but now onto the elite women's, Ollie.
Oh, and it went off fast. Puck Pieterse from the start,
She's
overall leader,
yeah,
absolute weapon. First climb, it's about a 4-minute hill, just gassed it from bottom to top. Lorna Lecomte taking it on. And again, it's that French vibe, just like that, giving an extra 5% or something of power. She took it on, and then it just built from there, and it just built and built and built.
And we had sort of groups, like a smaller group start to sort of form, if you like. Now, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot didn't race short track because she was feeling a little bit ill. However, looking pretty strong. I'd say a slowish start for her in the race.
But she had to come from 25th on the grid, had to miss short track, made the front group pretty sharpish. But then once she got there, I think she was really riding for having been sick, a podium was her kind of goal for the day.
But I want to say, on a hardtail. Not many hardtails. Loana and Pauline both on hardtails.
Only 2 I saw. And she won the Worlds last year on the hardtail. So if it works, don't fix it. So, yeah.
I actually spoke to Loana and a mechanic, and he was saying that it's actually down to the weight gains. Although the very technical sections are on this track, you can save about a kilo and a half. And with the sort of the grass and the longer climbs, or the 4-minute, the punchy climbs, that was worth it over the roughness of the woods.
Yeah, it's a real. They probably agonise about that all week. Yeah. But, super weight weenie. But it was Mona Vittelnauna, who sometimes uses a hardtail. She went for the fully, and she was climbing so fast today.
Absolute machine, right?
Yeah, she went head-to-head with Puck Pieterse today. Yeah. And then got the gap on the descent. Was descending well as well on the fully bike. And got the gap, held it, smashed it.
Yeah, Evie Richards, we saw her real strong, like we said, in short track. Had a crash in the race. Yeah. Sort of come down covered in dust. I think that really affected her. Dropped back to about 14th, which I'm sure she'll be gutted about. But it was, like you said, Mona Mitterwalner sort of riding off of it in the end, taking top honours.
And her second win. Won the last race in Paris-Roubaix, 2 races back-to-back. Yeah, the momentum is with her.
I think it'd be interesting to see how she gets on now. We switch over to obviously stateside in Canada.
Different courses.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
but she's got the form.
Puck Pieterse still rode really strong. The young guns at the front there into second place, right? And then Pauline Ferrand-Prévot rounding out that podium.
Yeah, and she was chuffed that. We saw afterwards to come off your sick bed
Yeah,
on your home
right.
crowd, still grab a podium.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So another French rider on another podium.
French domination.
It's there. Right, on to the men's. Now, I was up on the hill here watching the start, and I literally said to camera, I was like, I swear there's enough horsepower in that front pack to literally power the village that I live in. The pace that they went
insane.
off was mind-boggling.
And the biggest power on the start line, Nino Shooter, he missed the short track, again due to illness, is a bit knocking around. He missed that one. He had to start 25th on the grid. I was on the start climb in the tech area. The field opened up and he went up the left. He went from 25th on the grid to first.
That's insane though, right?
In about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was the most insane thing I've seen in cross-country mountain biking in my life.
Yeah, the racecraft of the guy is unreal, like nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Race got took on. Shooter got to the front. He then backed off a little bit. And then Schwartzbauer took it on. There was a bit of a kind of group of 8 kicking each other, little punches getting through. Saru had a punch.
He did, yeah.
Then Schurter had another punch. And then all of a sudden, it was Koretsky.
See ya.
He took it on. Then there was a group of 4. It got whittled down. He attacked on the descent, got the gap from DeBow and Schurter, and then that was it. And he rode. He was so smooth. He was amazing.
He looked effortlessly up all the climbs, but we should say Schurter obviously suffering a puncture.
Yeah, he lost.
So that, losing some time, but putting in some really strong last laps.
And in the commentary, we said we put a clock on it. He lost 30 seconds in that one.
And
he
came back to within 14, I think.
Yeah, he had a hell of a day out.
I mean, despite the illness, a strong ride.
And it was Matthias Flukinger had a bad day today. He was leading the overall. He dropped back. He was in 20th at one point, got back to 9th, which meant that Nino Schurter took the overall.
Yes, hence you've stolen it from him. Schurter's overall leader's jersey. Hey, why not? Why not? So obviously, Victor Koretsky, Specialized Factory Racing, took a commanding French win. Again, much to the crowd's delight. And in second place then, Ollie, Nino Schurter.
Yeah, he came through strong. He was like pushing and he went so deep, but he couldn't quite close. And then there was a group behind, 4 or 5 of them, all battling. Ludovic de completely blew his doors off on the last 10 minutes. He could have done with a lap less. And it was Vlad Daskelu, European champ, Factory Racing, came through for 3rd. So yeah, I mean, it was, I think the first 6 were within 30 seconds. Yeah. Super close, but it was, Koretsky did the double.
He did. Yeah. Short track and XCO.
In France, ecstatic. And then next stop, Paris Games next year.
Of course. And actually, it's worth noting that this was a selection event for the French Olympic team as well. So I think there was something, going on
and
there.
And there was 3 French in the top 10 today.
Yeah, I mean, that's making for some tough pickings, right?
But it was amazing racing. I think we've 2 rounds to go. The overall is still really tight.
Yeah, Schurter's just leading it.
Nino Schurter's got it.
as has our resident Nino Shooter right here.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing racing across all the disciplines. And we've still got the marathon.
Yeah, which
you know a lot about.
I'm going to be in it.
And the Enduro still to come. 20 World Cup races happening
right from this festival.
In 10 days in the festival.
So stay tuned to GMBN Racing and GCN Plus for all of the action coming from the Haute Savoie region. We might even see Ollie again back in the future. Who knows? Let us know in the comments down below what you thought. Is it French domination? Are they going to clean up for the rest of the season, or was Leger a bit of a fluke?
The US are back.
The US are back. Stay tuned, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.